Hi folks, Florida Man here. We are one of the biggest, and probably the best, of the Diplomacy YouTube channels. I am also currently publishing a lit RPG fantasy novel on the website Royal Road, link in the description below. Today I'm bringing you a diplomacy commentary on a game I played under the Blitz rule set that you've seen me play under before, in the game that I called Italian Blitz. This one is called the Russian Blitz, so you get no prizes for guessing which position I played. To refresh your memory briefly, the Blitz rules are where the turns are 5 minutes each, so this will undoubtedly be fun, and it won't be a complete mess where everyone ends up impulsively stabbing each other every other turn. Right? Anyway, in this game I took over a surrendered position, so I will go over what my predecessor and the other players did in the early game, and how I tried to change the situation once I was thrust into the action. In spring 1901, original recipe Russia opens north to Finland and St. Pete. This makes him look somewhat inoffensive to both of the southeastern powers, and very closely allied to Germany. Hopefully Germany will be equally faithful to him. Italy is either working on a Chi Lepanto with Austria, or gently stabbing Austria in spring 1901. I would normally bet on the former, but since this is a blitz game, who knows. England opens north, which fits with Russia seemingly being anti-English. They are on a collision course. France and Germany bounce in Burgundy, which I'm guessing is arranged since they didn't have time to develop real trust yet. And Turkey makes the most common Turkish opening. Not much to say there. In the fall, Russia tries to bounce England in Norway, which naturally fails. Russia does succeed in entering Sweden, but that just suggests to me he should have moved his St. Pete army to Finland instead of the impossible attempt to bounce England. Now England has convoyed an army onto Norway, so just retaining Sweden will be a struggle, let alone dislodging that English paratrooper. Germany and France do the same bounce again. Kind of pointless, but they made that trust move again. Hopefully it doesn't need to become a pattern, although for now, it didn't hurt either of them. In the south, Italy is clearly stabbing Austria. How shocking. And working with Turkey. We'll see how long that lasts. Russia takes Romania, and Turkey moves into the Black Sea. Not clear how friendly or unfriendly that might be to Russia here. In the builds, despite seemingly having a good relationship with both Russia and France, Germany builds 2 armies, which means he's definitely working with England and flipping on at least one of his seemingly friendly neighbors. The builds do not lie. France builds an army in Marseille and an anti-English fleet. Turkey builds a Smyrna army, which seems designed for defense and inoffensiveness toward Italy. Italy gets a fleet and an army ready to attack both Austria and Turkey from that visual cue. England naturally got a fleet, and Russia could only build armies. In spring 1902, Italy and Turkey continued working together, and the fleet that looked like it might be anti-Turkish moved west towards France. France moved his fleets towards Italy as well, along with armies towards Germany. England almost NMR'd here. He only ordered defense. For Norway only. Germany attacked France and supported Russia, and Austria and Russia worked together in the south to defend Romania. In fall, Austria continued getting absolutely ruined by Garlic Thanksgiving. To these almost final moments, Austria continued helping Russia, so I have to praise original recipe Russia's alliance making here. You want an ally who will die for you. And Austria was absolutely that. The French and Italian units ultimately moved away from each other, as Italy took Trieste and France tried to attack England after all. Germany attacked both England and France, working with Russia against England. As a result, even though Russia is besieged in the south, this season he captures Norway and cuts off any possible retreat, destroying that unit. In the builds, Austria destroys his last army, choosing to keep a fleet that can act as a raider and annoy Italy a little over being trapped and destroyed on land. Italy has 2 new armies and a new fleet, and Turkey is starting to look like the loser of this alliance. Russia builds a Moscow army which seems purely defensive in nature to ensure he keeps hold of Sevastopol and appeases any German worry about new armies. And Germany builds a fleet. Perhaps he's actually going to work with France a bit against England. We can hope. In spring 1903, England defends against France and tries to position his other fleets for war in Scandinavia. Germany continues to attack France, while Russia moves into Baltic Sea, Warsaw, and Galicia, possibly positioning to stab his German ally. Turkey withdraws from the front with Russia and starts moving to fight Italy, with Austria all but gone. This, by the way, is why I often label Garlic Thanksgiving as a very unstable and unbalanced alliance. Russia moves into the Black Sea after Turkey here. In fall, we see Russia and Turkey trade centers, with Russia taking Constantinople and Turkey getting Sevastopol. I can easily imagine, and I actually guess, that this is an arranged trade, but if so, it is an extremely risky play by Russia, who gets access to the Mediterranean, but in exchange has a Turkish dagger aimed at Moscow. At the same time, Italy and Turkey are either fighting or engaging in coordinated bouncing movements. If it's a fight, as it would seem to be if Turkey is working with Russia, then Turkey is being extremely bold here by leaving Bulgaria almost undefended. That does make it seem unlikely to be a fight, but Italy moves into the East Mediterranean, which is pretty intensely frightening if I'm Turkey. Out west, France is playing pure defense against Germany, allowing England to get into the Channel. Germany is trying to pull everything he has to fight England and Russia, but every move of his bounces due to England and Russia's attacks, and, frankly, questionable planning on Germany's part. You don't want to move all your units in a line if you can avoid it, because then the failure of one usually means the failure of all. Going to the builds, only Italy gets a new unit, which is an army. Austria destroys the last unit. In spring 1904, we see the chaos that this Blitz rule set is going to be mainly known for, among my viewers at the very least. In the previous year, it looked like England and Russia were attacking Germany. Now, England appears to be attacking Russia, Russia is attacking Germany, Germany goes to defend against Russia, and France goes after England as well. In the southeast, we can see the Juggernaut working together very ineffectively against an Italy who seems to be just too strong for them at this point. They are in serious trouble with the loss of Turkey's Bulgaria army. In fall, Italy continues advancing against the Juggernaut, who play defense in the south and avoid any further lost ground, but unfortunately miss the opportunity to be more proactive about slowing the Italian advance through neutral spaces. In the west, England continues attacking Russia, Russia is also in a slower-moving conflict with Germany, and France is attacking both England and Germany, including successfully convoying onto England. This game is a terrible mess. With the builds, France and Italy construct new fleets, while Russia has to destroy his army on the border with Germany. Spring 1905 is where I come in, unfortunately for me, taking over the rather battered and broken Russian position. This was actually the chronologically first game I played under the Blitz diplomacy rules, and as I got pulled in as a relief pitcher, I think I was not fully prepared for just how fast negotiations would move. You can see that first thing, I get stabbed by Turkey, and further attacked by Germany, Italy, and England. I'm sure France would have gone after me too, except he's still busy eating England, so he can't reach me, and attack England doesn't bother trying to fend off for some reason. In fall, England convinced me that we were working together, so I attacked Germany, seizing Denmark. England repaid my trust by stealing Norway. Germany backed off of my border and invaded France, while France invaded the Mediterranean. Although I lost Moscow, I retook Sevastopol this season. So this year was almost a wash for the Russian position, albeit that it was not very good for Russian morale. In the builds, I had to destroy a frontline unit against Italy. While Germany destroyed his Berlin army, England built an army in Edinburgh, Turkey destroyed his Ankara unit, and Italy built 2 fleets and an army. In spring 1906, we see that while I try to reclaim Russian territory, namely Moscow, Italy is positioning to seize more of my stuff. His advance is pretty nearly irresistible, in fact. Turkey invades St. Pete and loses Ankara. Basically, everyone is fleeing from Italy now, and Italy also forces France onto the back foot with help from Germany, who is for some reason, I guess, vengeance, fighting alongside the board leader, despite France being literally the only one who can stop that leader from likely soloing at this point. England is attacking me, the only other person who has a front line with Italy. It's a very frustrating situation. In fall, I continue to successfully fend off English occupation of Sweden, and Germany generously leaves me in undisturbed possession of Denmark as well, but everyone is still losing ground to Italy. This year I lose Warsaw and Sevastopol to him, though I gain the benefit of Turkey supporting me from St. Pete. The builds see France give up on holding influence in English waters, while I likewise give up on holding Moscow. In spring 1907, there's a miscommunication between me and Turkey, where I wanted to support him into Norway to have some fun at England's expense, and he instead supports Moscow to hold. England is still mindlessly attacking me, while Germany finally begins suffering under the Italian heel too. In fall 1907, I attempted to get the attack on Norway going again, and Turkey didn't do it. I used Moscow to take Warsaw, which was surprisingly actually unguarded this season. In the build, you can feel events building to a final confrontation. The forces of freedom and goodness are all lined up on one side, throwing what remains of their strength to the defensive fortifications. And the Roman hordes are ready to tear those barricades down with their sheer numbers and tenacity. In spring 1908, I lose Warsaw, but it's not my top concern. More importantly, I convoy into Livonia with German help, and I get to walk right into Norway to get that back from England. Now I have a little last-minute revenge on the English, and I retreat Warsaw to Silesia to have a chance at reclaiming Warsaw. Unfortunately, Italian momentum was unstoppable by this point. Somehow the coalition's defenses had broken down so badly that in this final season, Italy acquires Spain, Marseille, Berlin, and Munich, as well as not actually losing Warsaw to me. A very bad look for everyone not named Italy, and a very commanding Italian solo victory. So that was my first game under the Blitz rule set, or perhaps I should say my first chunk of a game under that rule set. I hope you enjoyed it more than I did as I played. I think I was more or less doomed once I joined, but I am interested in what you think. Comment below with moonshot ideas for how I could have saved myself. At this point, I would normally take a moment to thank and credit my Patreon patrons and my subtitle translators. And I do appreciate them, and I want to give them credit. But I also want to take a moment to shout out something else I'm doing. As I covered in my announcement video, and sort of at the beginning of this video, my new story, Ruthless, Path of Conquest, is now live and available for reading on the website Royal Road. I was also uploading audio of these chapters to YouTube, but for reasons that should be kind of obvious, that will be much slower coming than the written material. Following the link to Royal Road in the video description, reading some of my story, Ruthless, Path of Conquest, and giving me 5 stars on that site is almost as valuable at this particular moment in time as literally handing me money. If you can also write a nice review, that's also very helpful. If this story takes off well enough, my pie-in-the-sky goal is to make my living by creating stuff. If it wasn't obvious, this would also be very good in terms of its effect on my likely taking on new and interesting creative projects generally, some of which may be of interest to you. Until next time, Florida Man, out.